Hi.
Hi. Good morning.
I'm saying hi to you.
Hi. Welcome.
This is ridiculous.
Hi.
So we've got this is our introduction to the Innovation Ramble, because we're now partnering with the Drum.
We are.
It's big time.
We're going to be YouTube stars. Bring it on.
pretty serious business. Well, I'm Tom Ollerton, and this is...
I'm Alastair Cole. Hi.
What is this? This is the
Innovation Ramble.
It's the Innovation Ramble. And why are we doing this?
We're doing this because we are tasked with innovation, Tom.
We are. So Al and I met, what was it,
October 2014.
Had a nice little brunch. We both got innovation jobs, or innovation was part of our role, and if we're honest, didn't actually really know what we were doing.
Yeah. Well, it was part of the job title, but
that
was about it for me to start with.
Well, it's a nebulous term, isn't it, innovation?
Yeah.
And if everyone wrote down in your office what it meant, you'd get 100 different answers, wouldn't you? So we were a bit like, it's a self-help group, a bit supportive.
Absolutely.
And we've spent the last few months doing podcasts on iPhones in pubs, and then ended up here in CSEs. So this is for us to kind of make sure we're on the money, really, to make sure that we're tracking innovation and being inspired, but also sharing it and having a bit of fun.
Yeah, that we've got our finger on the pulse. We're here in the tasting room at CSC's Champagne Bar at St Pancras, Europe's longest champagne bar.
Yeah, it's the most ridiculous place to do a podcast surrounded by bottles of champagne. But anyway, they give us the space, so thanks to them. That's flipping awesome.
Yeah.
So let's crack on with the Innovation Ramble.
Let's do it.
Okay, so this week we're talking about relationships between podcasters, family, friends, long distance relationship, partners, bit of science, bit of history, not dating or sex. That'll be potentially next week's episode. We haven't decided on next week's episode. We'll do that halfway through. But in the news, it's been a big week for relationships.
Yeah, it has.
So in America, all 50 states, it's now legal for same-sex couples to get married. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's great. A landmark ruling by all accounts.
But not everyone's overly happy about it. There's some people saying it's unconstitutional. But come on the show, guys. We'll have it out.
Yeah.
So that's. I'm sure they'll be on the phone along with Eurostar. So this area got me researching some really interesting stuff, and I came across a weird quirk of science called ectogenesis. I know we discussed this on the phone the other day, but essentially what ectogenesis is allowing to grow a baby in a external womb. So it's like a sac essentially, with the baby embryo stays in there, and it gets fed all the different nutrients it needs. So it sounds a bit far-fetched, but in Japan they've done it with goats. So what they were doing is taking a premature goat and then putting it in this sack, and then bringing it to birth. But then there's also the issues around people who have like misshaped wombs, like unicorn wombs they're called. So you can actually grow a baby in a bag. Oh, it sounds pretty terrible. But I think for same-sex marriages, and actually for two men, there's no need to find a surrogate or adopt. You could grow a baby in a womb, but it's obviously created massive ethical debate even within the feminist movement. So they're saying that one half of them say it's brilliant because it kind of frees women from the tyranny of childbirth, and then on the other hand, it's sort of handing over femininity to science. So it's really interesting split, but there's some huge positives, it would save the danger of childbirth, and you could actually give kids the perfect amount of nutrients, and you wouldn't have to worry about your partner having a sly fag out the back, while she's pregnant. I guess so. This is another one. So I think that potentially could have a massive change in relationships. It wouldn't be the female responsibility to be responsible for the carrying and the giving birth.
Yeah, well, we've seen there being a swing in the last few decades back to the kind of importance of the female side of the male-female relationship, women's careers going longer, they're having babies later. Interesting now that this maybe is going to challenge that. If two guys could end up growing a baby without the need for a woman there the whole time. And another development I saw in terms of female relationships was a young lady in Brighton who has married herself, Tom. So another change to like what would have been a normal relationship. It's called sologamy.
Why sologamy?
Sologamy is the term for
solo, like
marrying yourself, and it's about a commitment to honour, value, and love yourself. So this young lady, Sophie Tanner, she's 36. She married herself in a service in Brighton, and I'm sure part of it was the fact that she was afraid of being alone, which is monophobia. Something that we covered on a previous episode. So yeah, relationships kind of changing and evolving in front of our very eyes.
So did she give herself away? Was she
no,
the only person in
her
the
dad
wedding?
gave her away to herself. She had like 10 bridesmaids.
Did she have a ring?
Yes, the ring bearer was her dog that brought the ring.
And did she wear a ring on both hands, or was it just one?
I think it was just the one. Yeah, I think it was just the one. She had written a book about it, and so there was a little bit of publicity involved. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, she sounds like a bit of a wally, but anyway.
But fully committed to herself.
Well, could she cheat on herself?
I don't know.
Can she leave herself? Could she marry someone else?
You'd think it'd be quite a cheap divorce.
Well, let's get her on the show with the anti-gay people.
Let's
from the
crack on.
States.
So, whether you're building a relationship with yourself or with others, our relationship skills have come from us developing bigger brains. So often people think that actually we developed our big brains in terms of our thinking, but actually it was caring that started. So, and behaviours relating to kindness and compassion developed like way before signs of intelligence, according to new research from York University. And we developed empathy as a result of our bigger brains, and empathy was important because it helps trust. So until I can see the world in your eyes, I can't appreciate the troubles you're going through. Once we were able to do that, then if I can see your perspective, then I can offer to help out, because I can see the kind of pain you're in. And one of the key hormones involved is oxytocin. People who are given a shot of oxytocin spend more time gazing at other people's eyes, and they're able to infer better the emotional state of others. So it's a really important hormone.
Could you stop you there, Al? Can you hear that?
I can. Is that the 8:28 from Paris Gare du Nord, 2 hours 22 minutes, Eurostar? Give us a call.
So yeah, we didn't actually mention that this champagne tasting room is right next to the Eurostar, so I can literally see a train pulling in. So for those of you who don't know what that is, that's what it is. But yeah, oxytocin. More oxytocin you have, the more attention you pay to people.
Yeah.
And that was the chemical that helped us develop.
Yeah, and that's why relationships are important, because the early forms of communication, we needed to work as a team in order to develop as a civilization.
So we talked about this before. That's one of the main things that drives social media use, is when you share something or like something, or someone gets a like on one of your pictures, you get that little burst of oxytocin, which is what makes it kind of so addictive. So we're going to say in like the world of science, so this is brilliant. This, like, I almost stopped when I researched this bit because it's just excellent. And this is from the website Motherboards. There's a guy called Kevin Warwick, who is a lecturer at Reading, I think. I hope you haven't got that wrong. But what this guy was, or is the first human cyborg. So what he did was put like a chip in his arm, surgically put into his arm, and with actions like this, he could do things like control the lights in his house. So he goes like that, and the lights come on. So then what he decided to do is do the same thing with his wife. So she had a chip in her arm as well, and so when they were separated, he could go like that, and then she would get a little, a similar nudge, so they could communicate via Morse code. And it was really interesting to watch him chat about it, because he was saying, well, I wouldn't do it with another man, to have because his example was that sex is the most intimate thing you could do, but then this was the next most intimate thing, because it's actually it's a physical thing, right? And so what they're talking about is now doing that kind of via email.
Yeah. So
there was some different scientists using chips in the brain to track when people said words like ciao or hola. So if someone said hola, then that would take that that brain signal and then convert it into some form or other that could get stuck in an email, sent to another continent, and then when the email was opened, that would then go into a similar machine that would create a flash in someone's eye. So when one person in one country said hola, that other person got a flash in their head. So, and why this is interesting about relationships is that, say for example, I say something to you like blue aeroplanes, right? that is a electrochemical thought in my head that gets converted into a physical action, like my mouth, which compresses sound waves, which travels through the air to your ear, which is also a physical response. But then your ear turns that into an electrochemical response. You with me?
Absolutely.
So when I say blue aeroplanes, you think blue aeroplanes,
that's all
but
I'm thinking.
your blue aeroplanes are totally different to mine. Like,
yes.
You know, so in the future, with this kind of way of tracking the electrochemical signals, we have the same chip. So when I think blue aeroplanes, that physical stuff doesn't happen. So the exact blue aeroplane that I think of is what you see in your head. So you're not just transmitting things, but also transmitting stuff like emotions. So if I feel scared, then you would actually feel my fear in exactly the same way, or if I was excited or whatever. So the future that Kevin Warwick is saying is that we will communicate kind of, it's not telepathy, but it's electromagnetically across a network.
Fantastic in terms of being able to communicate exactly what you're thinking. I do wonder about whether that sounds like a scary place, because my interpretation of blue aeroplane is different to yours. Are we clamping down on free thought? But interesting that we're taking sections out of the communication piece in order to have a clearer conversation.
But if you think about communication on really vital stuff, like in a life-threatening situation like military, or left or right, or go through the door, like actually I don't really need to get a direct neural connection when you're having your cornflakes, but actually there's a lot of situations where it might be vital to save time. We're saving lives here.
We are. I'm thinking Firefox, the movie. Remember Clint Eastwood, brain control of his fighter plane.
I've never
so
seen that.
It would make sense. It's a good movie. It's a classic.
We'll put that link in the show
and
notes.
that reminds me of a piece of development that's happened in Germany. So blind and deaf people are often isolated because they don't have the same kind of communication skills, and a researcher at Design Lab in Berlin has created a haptic glove knitted out with fabric pressure sensors that translates hand touch alphabet into digital text and digital communication, so that people who don't have the same innate communication skills can interact with other people that do, and allows those who are deaf or blind to communicate freely with people who aren't. First prototypes made from kind of Gore-Tex fabric, and it has little vibrating motors and sensors and dots, so that a new form of communication can happen with those that can't hear or speak like the rest of us.
So that takes us back to our Future of Travel episode, where they're talking about the future of travel and the idea that you would wear haptic gloves on an aeroplane.
Yes.
And so you're looking at a computer-generated image of your kids, and with the haptic glove that would apply pressure to your hands when you touch the top of your child's head or their shoulders, you would get a sense of actually being able to touch them, so you could hug your kids goodnight from seat 12B on the flight to Paris or the Eurostar.
And you talked also about making music with haptic gloves, and we also showcased something, I think a glove that was being used on production lines for building cars, that you could scan stuff with. It had heat sensors, so it's kind of wearables, haptic gloves. I feel like we're on the cusp of them coming into kind of mass production, so exciting times.
So the ones we just talked about, innovations around like how we can actually communicate in our relationships, but there's some more kind of tools now that I think are really funny for actually making your relationship slightly better. So there's a few of these now, like boyfriend apps basically, and there's this one called the Hero Boyfriend app, and this is made by a couple of Aussie guys who are kind of legends on the Australian startup scene, and there's this massive thing on the website about how this guy got dumped and he was a bit of a knob and all the rest of it, but he was saying that they decided to make this app that would never allow your relationship to go the wrong way. So essentially it outsources the imagination of your relationship, so you can so you periodically get notifications like, had you considered sending tulips to your loved one, and then you press go, and then it's got your payment details, and it would just send off tulips, and then it would like, oh, based on your girlfriend's interests or Pinterest page or whatever, like, oh, this band's coming into town. So it just basically does all that legwork that the busy professional male doesn't always have time to have to do.
Machine learning coming in to save the day in relationships.
I mean, just a bit. I think I've signed up for it. There's only a private beta yet, but I think that's pretty cool. just giving you a bit of a nudge. I mean, come on, like in our relationships, it's always.
Do you worry the girlfriend might think, is this from Tom, or has this been suggested by the app? I mean, obviously now she's going to know that you've got the app if she listens to this episode.
And it's done by some Aussies as well, so God knows what the suggestions are. But anyway, let's not get in there. But if you think that's bad, the Invisible Girlfriend app, this is brilliant, right? So it's like, if you haven't got a partner but want to make you feel like you do, then you sign up to the Invisible Girlfriend app, and you basically create a girlfriend. So you go, oh, we met on the train from London to Paris. She whispered in my ear, do you fancy grabbing a coffee? And they will send you texts and leave you voicemails, and you can send them emails, and you can even show your mates. You can go, look, I've got seeing this girl. Look at your face. This is
so hang on. So you can kind of paper over the fact that you don't have a girlfriend. You're kind of spoofing your mates.
It's like £25 a month. Like,
really,
it's a subscription thing.
That's cheap for a girlfriend.
Well. Right, don't go there. Obviously, don't go there. But the interesting thing, they are saying that it could be useful for people who don't feel like they can come out to their families or their community. Sure. This, LGBT type relationships, that for religious reasons or whatever. So all that's their spin on it. I don't know.
Well, there was a South Korean app, I can't remember what it was called, that we showcased a couple of weeks ago, where if someone had where you could send a text to either celebrities or dead relatives as part of the kind of grieving process. They have a very high rate of suicide in Korea, and so it was some way to communicate, even just into the ether. So it was starting to see the rise of building relationships with entities that are virtual and not there.
Right, section 2. Have you ever had a long distance relationship, Alan?
Not really. A couple of 100 miles would be the most. I wouldn't really consider that like long distance. And
depends how old you are. If you're a penniless teen, it's a fairly insurmountable distance, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the long distance relationship.
Big fan.
Sort of. Wasn't very good at it. Yeah. But there's quite a few different bits of tech to help you with that.
There are indeed.
And I don't have an example here, but the long distance pillow.
Okay.
So basically what you do is you take photos of your loved ones and get them made into pillows, so you can have them left out on your couch, just lean on their face. And then there is a long distance actually pillow for the bedroom, so when your long distance partner puts their head on the pillow, your pillow lights up and vice versa, so when you both put your head down together, there's a kind of visual representation of that.
Nice. I read about a new lamp that's been called the breath lamp. It's coated in a thermochromatic pigment.
Of course.
So it's black, as you'd expect, and when you turn it on, the pigment fades from black to transparent, so you can't see it. And then when you breathe on the lamp, you breathe on your lamp, and then the lamp will change colour and show your interaction, but thousands of miles away. So you've got a kind of physical object that is responding to how you interact with it, and delivering a kind of real time "I'm thinking of you" message to your partner.
That's so weird. Why
thousands
breathing?
Of miles away.
So,
I guess that just
you rub it or touch it.
I think that's coming. Actually, there's a product. There's a kind of product roadmap that's coming. So there are going to be voice and touch and movement interactions as well. And they're building out a mirror. There's going to be a hanging ring lamp and several pieces of furniture covered in specially designed texture. So you will be able to hug your sofa and send a message thousands of miles to your long distance relationship.
And some of that actually is reflected in the Apple Watch with the haptic stuff. Like you can send your heartbeat.
Yep.
You can send like a little nudge, which is really weird because I've got the watch, and my friend James has got one as well. So James sort of sending me like haptic messages.
Well, this same thing happened at our office. A colleague of mine called Anthony, he and a mate in a different agency were kind of sending each other heartbeat all day because they're just getting used to the technology, but it's a little bit unusual.
It's not for everyone.
But fair play. Previously, Pepper Hacker, created by
Dolmio.
That's right.
So again,
family meal times are a time when people should be getting together. They should be talking to each other, not using their devices. And the Pepper Hacker, I think, there's one twist at the top, and it's cutting off Wi-Fi signal, pretty much all connectivity, and forcing the whole family to sit around the table and talk to each other over a meal.
Yeah, I think that's. I wonder if that actually worked. I mean, once again, we also always sort of stray into the realm of is this PR spin or is this actually something that's going to take off? But one thing I saw was Paro, the robot seal, that basically keeps your grandma entertained. It's a cameo from one of the CSE stuff. All right, mate. And it's just, if you look at the video, it's like this really gorgeous cuddly seal that you can like tickle its chin, you can feed it, and it has these really kind of doughy eyes, which sounds a bit rubbish, but when it was put in old people's homes, actually for oldies that are kind of estranged from their families, it's like having a pet, really.
Yeah, sure.
And one of the researchers on this podcast I listened to was basically saying how sad it was that, you know, in an environment where old people were surrounded by their peers or nursing staff, the thing that really connected with them was a flipping robot, you know, and they thought it was quite sad. But you know, if you don't really want to go and see your gran that much, maybe you could send her a robotic seal in there.
Yeah, I know pets are such a big deal in terms of relationship. I know that couples that have pets, cats or dogs at home, what happens is the one who gets home first ends up stroking the animal, and that lets out a lot of their, you know, kind of pent up anger or frustration during the day, and so actually their relationship is better as a result of having it. So, you know, even if it's a robotic white furred seal, it's going to help ease some of that tension.
But it's interesting, all these bits of AI, what's that, artificial intelligence, but it's kind of attacking the fringes, you know, kids in Korea who are wanting to connect with lost relatives, older people. I mean, we've had robots looking after kids. It's a regular theme on the Ramble, isn't it?
It is indeed.
The AI and robotics
Yeah.
are not replacing relationships, but becoming, like, stepping in, being almost a surrogate in different areas, which I think is fascinating.
And they're coming in at that low level, so more of the menial tasks. Some of the stuff that you're outsourcing, like your kind of girlfriend app, some of the stuff that is kind of fairly basic.
Menial stuff like your girlfriend.
Well, just suggestions about, you know, and that's allowing us, I think, to free up some headspace to think, for us to get in even deeper into you know, new kinds of relationships, new kinds of tech. So we're able to move a little bit further up the kind of tech food chain and leave some of the more boring stuff to the machines. So Free is an app which allows you to get your friends together and basically arrange hookups with mates without needing to put yourself out there totally on social networks. So the core of it is as a kind of cartoony status composer that allows you to say whether you're going out, whether you're flexible, so you could still choose to, or you could stay at home, or whether you're busy. You can add a little bit of text, add your location, add your time frame about whether you might be interested in going out, and then all these status go into a feed that your friends can flick through, so it's just your friends, and then they disappear the next morning. So you can kill your status if you change your mind and you don't want to go out anymore, and it works for people who don't just have the app. So it's a kind of, you know, kind of like an organizer just for you and your mates, not as fully fledged as Facebook, and kind of operates on a text basis. So, but
it's its own ecosystem.
Yeah, it's its own ecosystem. So you can say, you know, if something falls through and you're looking to go for a few drinks on a Thursday night, you can set your status, see who's around, and then those that are interested can kind of get together and go and do something.
And does it work for non-mates, or do you have to all be part of the same gang?
I think you have to be part of the same gang and get invited.
Though, isn't it? Like,
yeah, so it is. You know, it means setting up another kind of group. However, it's a little bit more flexible about, you know, rather than having to just put out there and say, hey, I'm going out, who's coming, and then no one comes back. You can be a little bit more subtle and nuanced about your status.
That'll pivot into a dating app within about 5 weeks, won't it? Probably.
As will Cuddler. Okay. Potentially,
all right,
which is effectively Tinder for hugs. So it's a social meeting app where you can request a hug or a cuddle from people who live nearby.
Read my body language.
Yeah, you can meet up for casual platonic cuddling.
With clothes on, does it?
I don't think it stipulates, actually. However, after my invitation to you would expire after 60 minutes. I don't know if there's something like an hour is a kind of standard cuddle request response time.
Long time to wait around for a hug.
That is. If I want a hug, I want one right away.
Yeah.
Unlike Tinder, it doesn't have the age of users or gender. And based on your cuddling, you get rated. So you're able to see the cuddling ability, the spooning ability of people in your local area. Yes, you're rated on spooning, you're rated on preferences, you're rated on cuddling techniques, communication skills, and most importantly, your ability to respect boundaries, which is why I think this could just naturally tip over into the dating world.
Well, talking of apps, I don't think you're going to take off.
But are worth having a crack at.
But worth having a crack at. So it's one thing talking about innovation, but it's one thing doing it. And so some mates of mine got together and we're like, should we do something? Should we have a crack? Should we make something just outside of work? Should we try and do a thing that we think's interesting? So me, Matt and James, we were also interested in relationships. The problem that we were trying to solve in our relationships was that we were always kind of running out of time to stay in touch with our partners when we're busy. You know, like you're running meeting to meeting and you get a text or a call from the missus going, oh, can you go to this website or choose which cushions you like or whatever. And you're like, oh. And so you want a quick way of being able to go, I'm running late, busy right now, see you later,
call you back.
Yeah, exactly, all those things. And around the time Yo had come out as well, which we were really inspired by, the cheekiness of Yo. So we came up with this idea for this app, amongst others, called 3UP, which was a 3-word messenger. So you could send 3 words. So I'm running late, I miss you, I love you, see you later. And then we'd had like changeable backgrounds. It was all 8-bit. It looked really cool.
Yeah, I like it.
But it didn't work because basically, oftentimes it took longer to think of a 3-word message than it would have been just to write a 6-word text or make a quick call. So actually, it just kind of shot itself in the foot. And then my dad tried to use it, but he would like write out whole emails in it, and it was just like, it was a total disaster. But it was a great experiment. It was a really interesting to dive into relationships and try and find a way of making a relationship better through technology, which actually is difficult. And I think that a lot of these ideas that we've discussed today are great ideas in practice, but will they actually make a measurable difference to relationships? And relationships have been developed by us for thousands of years, and it's going to take more of an app to sort your love life out, I think.
Yeah, creativity is having ideas, innovation is making them happen. And so hats off to you and the guys. You made something, you put it out there. I think it works brilliantly.
Well, if you go to the App Store and go to the App Store and search for 3UP Messenger, you can be one of 26 people.
There we go. You could be number 27.
Well, quite.
You could be.
Yeah. Let me know what you think.
Look, you're stepping out there, using technology to try and build new relationships, which is exactly what some guys in China did. Actually, what one twin, a young family was the victim of kidnapping, and one of 2 of twin boys were sold into slavery effectively with their sister. So these twins got split up like 20 years ago, and after they were kidnapped, they never saw each other. And one of the twins, who knew he was a twin from his parents, he was desperately keen to try and find his brother, and so some technology became available, and he submitted his picture into a kind of national database of missing persons, and some facial recognition technology matched him with his brother, who was actually a police officer. That's why his picture was on the system. So this facial recognition tech, it's matched the 2 of them up, reunited after 20 years. I mean, tragically their sister hasn't been found, but the perpetrator has been caught, has been sentenced. An amazing story of tech reuniting people after 20 years apart.
Wow, that is a massive grandstand finish to our Ramble. But we've both got work to go to, so let's wrap this up pretty quick. Shout out, thanks to Sam coming down from the Drill. Nice can tan there, so very nice.
Thanks to Christina as well, Christina Lai, for her brilliant social media and marketing initiatives.
Also Matt Kempton for our logo design, Lucky Elephant for the music, James Harrison for the photography, and Circes for the champagne bar. Next week's subject will be dating and sex.
I think so. It's a natural evolution.
Yeah. Quotes from me, not a particularly innovative one, but one from the Beatles, which is "Love is all you need." Which kind of, I think, after doing this episode, I've realised that the core to all relationships is understanding, bit of love, bit of listening, and I think JL had it right in the 1967 classic. Short
and sweet. I'm going to focus on feelings and the much quoted but very true words from Maya Angelou. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Oh, beautiful. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much.